Hi guys, wishing you all a very happy 74th Independence Day. I hope you all are safe and doing well. Today's super special guest is someone you have asked for, somebody I've been longing to have on In the Spotlight. I cannot wait to get this started and introduce to you Master Blaster Sachin Tendulkar.
Welcoming you all to this very special episode of In the Spotlight. In India, cricket is considered a religion and there is only one God. Today, I'm truly honored to present to you the youngest recipient of the Bharat Ratna 2011 World Cup winner, our very own Master Blaster Sachin Tendulkar. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Mudit. Lovely to speak to you. First of all, let me wish everyone a happy Independence Day. And think it's I've seen you grow, since you were what, 5, 6.
Yeah.
Now you're one of the leading table tennis players who have followed your progress. So big congratulations to you on your success and keep going forward. We are supporting you and wishing well for you. And I know that you will have all the trick shots to play with me. Take it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your kind words of inspiration. So, we'll get started with this by talking about your early days of cricket at Shivaji Park.
Yeah, and Shivaji Park was a big turnaround in my life. I still remember the first match that I played. My building friends had come to watch me, and I got out on the first ball. I was used to, and I came back and I told my friends, ball thoda low reh gaya and all that.
Yeah.
Made excuses, but I was used to playing with a rubber ball, so which would bounce a lot. Season ball doesn't bounce as much, so I had played the ball there and it went under my bat. I have no clue. Next match also I got it on zero first ball.
Okay.
So in third match, I had scored 1 run. Deep within somewhere, I knew that I was happy that at least I was able to score a single run. And when I got back home, I told my family members that I scored 1, but I'm okay. From there on, my journey began with Achrekar sir. Shivaji Park was truly the home of cricket, I would say, for all the Mumbaikars. And practicing with so many guys around me. There were a number of guys who were double my age. I was only 11, 12, and there were guys who were like 25, 26 who would come and bowl at me. And Achrekar sir wanted me to go through all that grind because he wanted to toughen me up. He had spotted that spark in me just like my brother did. And so every time I went to Shivaji Park, my elder brother Ajit would accompany me by bus. And once I got familiar with all my routes and all that, it worked pretty well for me. But those sessions were critical for me, and there were a number of occasions where I felt like bunking my practice session. So sir on his scooter would ride his scooter all the way to Bandra from Shivaji Park, pick me up and make me go and practice. And when I put those sessions all together, they've made a huge difference in my life, the number of things that I've learned. And after all those hard sessions, sir would make me run 2 rounds of Shivaji Park with my cricket gear on, because he would always say that you have to score runs with all your cricket gear. So you got to get used to that. So that would really, push me to my limit. And then, of course, as we call it, time pass within friends. So we would all go there. There was a superb stall near Shivaji Park Gymkhana who would serve vada pavs and samosas and bhel and all those things. So finally, at the end of the day, all friends would sit there, enjoy, relax, and then, crack jokes. And also, to tell you that the Shivaji Park Gymkhana had a beautiful table tennis table, and invariably we ended up playing table tennis there. So to the extent where during my off days, like summer holidays, we would play table tennis to anywhere between 5 and 7 hours a day.
Wow.
whole day we would spend at Shivaji Park. Shivaji Park was like home for me.
Wow. So 5 to 7 hours of table tennis is pretty similar to some of my days.
Little more of cricket where I was not playing matches. We would have 2 practice sessions, one in the morning, 3.5 hours, one in the evening, and one wouldn't want to go back home. We would,
Yeah,
spend all our day there at Shivaji.
for sure. Of course, we're going to talk about Acharikar, so we will talk about your brother Ajit as well. But right now, let's talk a little bit about your younger days. As you mentioned, you were one of the youngest playing in Shivaji Park, often even half the age of the others. So in 1987, you were the ball boy in the India-Zimbabwe match. So how did you see the cricketing world as a young teenager then?
Oh wow! I started scoring runs, and people had heard about me, and not just the people, but also India players had heard about me.
Yeah.
And I was placed right in front of the dressing room, so I could observe players, how they prepare themselves, how they focus before they walk out to bat or to bowl. And suddenly, just 3 years before that, in 1983, one had witnessed India winning that beautiful trophy at Lord's. And at that time, I did not understand the significance of having won the World Cup. So I celebrated with all my friends. And then I was watching all those heroes right in front of my eyes. I mean, I was like 25 feet away from them. 3-4 years down the line, that transformation took place in my life. And it did not stop at that. I got invited to the dressing room by Sunil Gavaskar, my hero, of course. And Gavaskar called me inside the dressing room. Those days, guys were allowed to go inside the dressing room. If you knew someone, then you could walk inside the dressing room, say hi, hello, and come out. So I actually went there. I stood there, and Gavaskar, I still remember, he was sitting in the last seat, right in the corner. And coincidentally, I was told that even for Mumbai Ranji team and all the matches that he played, he sat there. And I also ended up sitting there because when I got into Mumbai Ranji team, Gavaskar had just retired. So possibly that was the only spot which was vacant. And I had to go and sit there. It was sheer coincidence. But, such is life that, my batting hero, and then I go and take the same spot by sheer coincidence. It was magnificent. And then, of course, to see how fast the bowlers were bowling, how they were swinging the ball, how they were fielding, how they were batting, all those things. My coach had always told me that when you go and watch someone else, make sure that you learn something and come back home. Don't waste your time. Yes, your friends are always going to be there, but friends can also be there after the game.
Yeah.
But during the game, your focus has to be there. So I was trying my level best to stay focused, though Vinod Kambli was there with me, and we were cracking jokes and all those things were happening. But simultaneously, I was focused on the game also. So a big moment in my life, to put it short.
Right, for sure. I mean, it would have obviously been super inspirational, as you said, to see the team winning the 83 World Cup. You, as you mentioned, may have not understood the magnitude of it then. But eventually, of course, you had your own successes on the field and at a very young age. So how did you manage to stay so humble and stay so grounded, even though you achieved success at such a young age?
I think it's because of my family, to be honest. When you watch your parents, how they behave, how they respond to situations, how they respond to challenges, because my parents had to manage quite a lot of things. So they never expressed their concerns or never lost patience with me, especially because I was a naughty kid. But when I started playing cricket, there was always a sense of balance between celebrations and dealing with disappointments. So when you maintain that balance, it becomes easier to to deal with reality. Suddenly, if you've scored 100 and your family members also start treating you like a hero, that is where your career is going to get stagnated. You will not move forward. Okay? The best part was my brothers and my sister, my parents. They treated me normally and told me if I was going wrong somewhere, be it on the field or off the field, they would tell me. And that played a big role in my life, because having them around who believed in focusing on process. So the process is important, the results are going to follow. And for me, I felt like as a school kid, I felt like I was on a fast train, which did not stop at any station to celebrate the landmarks. I mean, there were number of things which happened in my school cricket also, but the train never stopped at a station to celebrate. At the most, our celebrations were like, my parents would always bring a box of pedas, some sweet to offer to God, and basically thank God for everything that has happened. And then a big thing which continued throughout my career, which was the philosophy was that we think about the next game, let the rest of the world talk about the last game. Whatever has happened. You can't change that. You can learn from that and start thinking about the next game. Let the rest of the guys talk about the last game. And that I followed till the end of my career. That was one simple formula which worked for me. And it kept my mind engaged on the things which were to happen. And I had control of those things. Or I would much rather say that I had a chance to prepare myself better. But whatever was behind me was for the rest of the guys to discuss.
So yeah, focusing on the process and in the moment is something that's very important to athletes as well as people in other walks of life. But you were talking about trains, and that reminded me of your love for cars. Your first car was Maruti 800. So why don't you tell us about that and your passion for cars?
See, my first car was Maruti 800. Unfortunately, that is not with me, and I would love to have it back again with me. So people listening to me, feel free to contact. Love for cars. It happened at an early age, very, very early in my life, because this happened in Bandra East when I was living in Sahitya Sarvas, and there was a massive drive-in theatre, open theatre, where you could drive your cars and watch a movie sitting in your car. So I would stand with my brother in the balcony and I could see all the cars. I mean, those days, there were only, I remember Fiat, Ambassador, then two fancy cars were Standard 2000, I still remember, and Contessa. I think these two were like fancy cars. So I enjoyed cars, and we would sit there hours on end just watching cars and recognizing them, which one is Standard 2000. My brother also knew about cars. And then as I grew up, I started traveling, got more exposure. My likes also changed. My choice got better, I would say, over a period of time. Then the introduction of Maruti in India and so many other, big cars, BMW, Mercedes, Audi, Range Rover, all these Porsches. I took a lot of interest in all those cars. I loved good cars, and that interest is very much alive. I'm so passionate about cars. I follow Formula One as well, so that is something which keeps me glued to a television set. But there were a number of things which happened over a period of time when we talk about cars, and how I graduated from Maruti to different models and wanting to try out different models and modify them a little bit myself, looking at music system or whatever, all those kind of things kept me engaged, because it was my passion and it continues to be my passion. I like to read a lot on cars. I like to watch videos on cars. I like to know their power, the number of cylinders they have, the horsepower, all those things, the not 200 acceleration, all those kind of things excite me, and the fancy gadgets which most of the manufacturers have started introducing in the car. I think it's fascinating how the world is moving, and also of late one talks about electric cars. It's all about looking after our planet. I think it's an important part of our lives. All of us have to take that responsibility and go in a direction which can take care of our planet.
I completely agree. And what better time than now to start with that? And you were mentioning that you used to compete and travel at the same time, and that's also when you uh, built your passion for cars. So, how did you manage and soak in the high pressure and crunch situations for over 20 years?
Mm, see, wherever wherever there are aspirations and dreams, there is going to be pressure.
Yeah.
And it comes as a package deal. You have to uh, learn to deal with that pressure. I mean, it can't be that I want to play test cricket, but I don't want bowlers bowling beyond 75 miles. Tomorrow you're playing table tennis. You can't tell your opposition that you are only allowed to smash 50%.
Yeah.
They're going to go 100%. And that is why I spoke earlier about Achrekar sir, who was preparing me to face any kind of challenge, be it physical or mental. And dealing with pressure, uh, there are multiple types of pressures. One is, as I spoke about, physical pressure, because I remember when I went to Pakistan for the first time, after having fielded the whole day, both Salil Ankola was my room partner. We both went and slept for 3 hours in the evening. We went to sleep at 6 o'clock and woke up at 9 o'clock. We were so tired just by fielding, because that physical pressure we had never experienced, and then it tires you mentally. So both these are important. Also, I think when you prepare yourself, then there is one kind of pressure that you feel, which is to live up to your own expectations. And then there are occasions where you're underprepared, and then you go out and you freeze. You don't know, you're caught off guard. You have no solution there. So how does one deal with this becomes critical. And I feel for me, I've always believed in preparation. If you prepare yourself, I'm sure you also must be visualizing a number of times. Before a big game, you visualize. So it's not actually the first time that you're walking out in the middle. It possibly might be the third or fourth time, and that is what I believe in. If you do that, you prepare yourself, then the pressure is less, or rather the pressure is a different kind of pressure which brings the best out of you. And that is what I felt. Can you imagine, I mean, if I'm walking out to bat and nobody around me is expecting anything from me? I mean, I think I've then possibly chosen a wrong profession. I could be somewhere else. I would much rather want people to expect something from me when I'm walking out to bat. So I believed, I mean, it is all about what you tell yourself. If you feel, oh, how am I going to deal with all this and all that, you'll only find obstacles along the way. But if you take that as a positive thing to happen to you, then you're going to start finding solutions. And I focused on finding solutions, because there are going to be challenges all along the way. Till the last day, till the last ball of my career, there were challenges, because every time a bowler runs in to ask you a question which you have to have some answer. And for that, the mental setup is really important. If you are going to think positive, that positive energy, that fluidity is there, which can be observed by millions. Action happens in front of the whole world. So I would say don't find shortcuts.
For sure, as you said, pressure is always going to be there. It's just about dealing with it, and the most important thing there is preparation. And for sure, your coaches would have helped a lot in helping you get prepared for your matches, for all the big events that you've played in. So, what would be that one or two special moments of advice that you think you would have got from all the coaches that you have had over the years?
Well, the most important advice that I got from Achrekar sir
Yeah,
was uh, always be a student of this game. If you want to move forward, you have to be a student of the game. Otherwise, you're going to stagnate. The progress will not happen. Uh, the other one was very important. It said you don't need to look around what XYZ is doing. You don't need to get into comparisons. Uh, it's a team sport, I understand, but you have to try and be the best version of yourself.
yeah,
You don't need to worry about, oh but my classmate is not doing this, he is not doing that, whatever. Don't get into all this. You see what you are supposed to do as a team member and contribute, and always be a team member. You're not on your own there. Yes, when you're batting, you're on your own, but you are batting for your team. So I think those are important things. I mean, sir also told me that there'll be number of coaches you will meet when you start playing higher level of cricket, and it actually happened. I mean, if I look at my career, I must have had at least 20 different coaches, 20-25 coaches. But I felt that it was important to uh, take good qualities from everyone, just to have that awareness. And then if somebody is offering you good advice, listen to it
yeah,
carefully. If it works for you, fine. If it doesn't, because not everything is going to work for you. That one needs to figure out. And I had people around me who would guide me for that. So I would say these tips really helped in my career.
for sure. So if I sort of have to sum it up, I would say that athletes or other young players need to filter the advice and use what is best to their game. And you were of course always a student to the game. You kept learning even through your career. I've seen you playing in the early days of Mumbai Indians, 2011 World Cup, your last game, all of it. But the 1K day has surely been extremely special to you, and I couldn't hold back my tears when I saw the whole team lift you up after the 2011 World Cup. So what were you feeling then?
Uh, See, Shivaji Park. Shivaji Park was where my cricket started. But then, all the top level matches were played at Wankhede Stadium, I would say. Or uh, from Ranji Trophy debut to the last game, the World Cup finals.
Yeah.
The big games were played there, Ranji Trophies and Test cricket, one day cricket. All these international games were played there. I think the greatest moment of my life, without any doubt, has to be the World Cup.
Yeah.
There cannot be anything bigger than that, honestly. I mean, and that was the reason I started playing cricket, because I also wanted to hold that trophy one day. And when I realized that dream, that victory lap was out of this world. And I'm telling you, I still get goosebumps when I'm talking about it. How the country celebrated and how the stadium celebrated. The whole stadium. I remember when we used to play Ranji Trophy in the early 90s, especially the North Stand for Ranji Trophy games would really support us, get behind us, and put pressure on the opposition team. And then the whole stadium would start slowly. So, those memories one cannot forget. The Wankhede Stadium will always be special to me, and more so because I played the World Cup finals there. India won the World Cup. There cannot be anything bigger than that.
Right. I was getting goosebumps while you were saying that. But we're
I
coming
think I've cried on the ground, and both those occasions was Wankhede Stadium.
Right. No, for sure.
So when we won the World Cup, and when I was saying goodbye to the game,
Yeah.
I went and I touched Wankhede Stadium. I did namaskar to cricket.
Yeah.
That those two occasions, I had tears in my eyes.
No, for sure. Exactly. So, of course, Wankhede has sort of been soil to you in many ways, along with Shivaji Park. But on the behalf of the Indian table tennis team, we know you love playing table tennis, and I'm sure you could even
You cannot imagine how much I love playing table tennis.
I know exactly.
When I had broken my thumb and I couldn't hold a table tennis racket, I was playing with my left hand, and I figured out how to play with my left hand, because for 5 weeks I was not allowed to play table tennis with this hand. I started playing with this hand. I loved. It was fabulous.
So, just on behalf of the Indian table tennis team, I'd like to take this opportunity to just ask you for some advice to the Indian table tennis team, and as well, just as young aspirational athletes, what advice would you give us?
So my advice as a table tennis player, I wouldn't want to give you any advice, but
No, of
advice
course you
as
can.
an athlete, yes, I would give you an advice. It's a simple message. Don't forget the reason why you started playing table tennis. That kid in you has to stay alive, no matter, even if you are 30, 40, 50, 60, even if you're playing friendly games, that kid in you has to be alive. That love and passion for the game, keep that alive. Because what happens as you start progressing and start doing well, there are so many other factors which come into play. It's not just about enjoying table tennis. It's about your preparation, expectations, failures, disappointments, and all those things, your exercises. And then it becomes a routine where sometimes you forget to continue being in love with the sport.
Yeah.
So I would say, from my personal experience, I'll tell you, when I had my tennis elbow surgery and I was away from cricket for 4.5 months, just as a build-up, before I could come, I was in England, so I played a few practice matches. And I played 4 or 5 practice games. While fielding, there were not too many people there. Hardly 1,500 people would come and watch. And I was able to enjoy cricket again, the way I used to in my school days.
Yeah.
And I said, what is so different about playing for India literally last 5 months ago and what I'm experiencing today? The difference was that kid in me was again woken up.
Yeah.
Because of expectations and pressures, and you want to prepare yourself, give your best all the time, you forget being in love with your sport. And that is what I would say, that continue to have that kid in your life. That is really important.
I think that's truly an inspirational message, just to sort of forget about everything else very often and just remember why you started playing and why you love the game. And you played a lot of solid knocks, but you also had a lot of quick and cheeky knocks as well, at least more towards the later end of your career. So on that note, let's move to the rapid fire questions.
Okay.
So if not for cricket, what would you be doing today?
Some sportsman, because I have to be associated with sports. That is my life. That's like my oxygen. Without that, I will not survive. I know it.
Well, we hope you would be playing table tennis with us.
I'd love to come and get some tips from you.
You are a hero to hundreds of millions, but who is your hero?
It has to be my father, because watching him all the time in front of me was something that I did not understand when I was a kid. But I grew up and I started understanding his nature. And even if I could be 50% as good as what my father was, I'd be a decent person.
That's extremely warming. Do you mentioned that outside Shivaji Park, you used to go and have vada pav and maybe even some other roadside food like bhel or gola. So, what is your favorite Mumbai roadside food?
Well, it has to be vada pav, but
Vada
vada
pav.
pav with my mixture. I like to put that imli ka chutney also. I like,
Nice.
as we call it, red color ka lasan chutney. Then
Yeah.
also green pudina chutney, and then you put imli, which is the icing on the cake. Imli does the trick.
Indeed, that's the trick for sure. What are your three success mantra words?
Uh, Three success mantra words. I would say first, you have to be passionate about whatever you want to be in life. To prepare yourself to the best of your ability is really important if you want to succeed.
Yeah.
And then the third one, to be able to execute your plan. So execution.
Okay.
These three things. And in cricket, for me, it was next ball matters.
Yeah. So passion, preparation, execution.
Yeah.
Can you
So
describe?
in cricket,
Sorry.
I would actually tell myself. In cricket, I would actually tell myself, next ball is what matters. So next ball matters. Whatever has happened has happened. The
Yeah.
bowler may have beaten you or whatever, but the next ball which matters.
Right. Can you describe the following in one sentence? Cricket.
My life,
Okay.
which has given me everything.
Yep. Achrekar sir.
Achreka sir is like a foundation, a solid foundation to what I was able to construct.
And your brother Ajit.
A constructor who was always there with me from the foundation days and even
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
So someone who's always been there with me and continues to be. So yeah, I mean, without these three things, I wouldn't be here. Simple.
So of course you've met a lot of inspirational people over the years. But if you had the chance to meet any one person, male or female, who you have not yet met, who would it be?
Two of them actually.
Okay.
And then unfortunately both of them are not alive. One would be Mother Teresa,
Yeah.
and the other one would be Muhammad Ali.
Amazing. Muhammad Ali is such an inspiration.
Absolutely, both of them.
Yeah. You're considered the god of cricket, but if you were to ask God for one thing in life, what would it be?
One thing in life, if I was to ask, first of all, God gave me an opportunity to play cricket, so let's make it clear there. And if I have to ask one thing, it has to be, I lost my father in 1999, and there were so many things which happened in my life which I always feel there is a void. And if my father was alive, he would have been really proud to see me lifting that World Cup.
Yeah.
There cannot be a prouder moment for a father when son goes out and why the journey started. And he was the reason, he was the one who had taken that decision. And okay, my brother suggested, but eventually my father had to take the decision.
Yeah.
And father allowed me to play. So I would want to change that without him.
For sure. I'm sure he's really proud of you, wherever he is right now and in a better place. But as we conclude this rapid fire, I just want to thank you for so readily agreeing to do this. It's truly been an honor to have you on In the Spotlight. Your words are truly an inspiration for me and all our viewers today. On behalf of everyone that is virtually present, I'd just like to say thank you so much, and your humility has surely touched our hearts this Independence Day.
Thank you, Mudit, for inviting me on this show. It's been a pleasure to converse with you and share my experiences in life. I hope the viewers find it interesting, and we shall meet soon, Mudit.
A big thank you to everyone for watching today's episode, and I hope you guys liked it. Stay tuned for another episode next week, and do let me know who you'd like to see in the show next. Thank you and stay safe.